We never had somewhere to go if we knew shit was gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna bring the crew in. We're gonna start up here on this front. This will give y'all time if you want to pack some stuff, get your personal things. Up there, though, so you're gonna be getting here in 5 minutes and all my stuff that I'm sorry.
Calm down, baby. Calm down. Stop. I know.
Welcome back. Great to have you with WKYT News tonight. The Associated Press is reporting the Trump administration is proposing to impose a 2-year limit on rental assistance, which would impact those living in public housing and Section 8.
WKYT's Carly Hoxton and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw talked to a Richmond man raising 4 boys by himself in public housing. He tells us if he lost government assistance, he'd be financially crushed.
It's playtime for the Wright family. Chris, his 4 boys, and dog Nook live in Dillingham Heights. It's overseen by Housing Authority of Richmond. Wright is watching the news about the proposed rule by HUD and the Trump administration that would limit people in Section 8 and low-income housing to 2 years of assistance.
And if he did that, and if I was limited to 2 years, it would devastate me and my children. It would devastate us. I mean, there's no question around that. And I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump fan. Well, obviously, there's been things that's been going on that's brought that into.
This new rule would exempt the elderly and the disabled. Wright is considered disabled.
I've had many things. I've got chronic cellulitis with my legs, different things like that. I've almost lost my legs a couple times.
The 49-year-old former salesman would like to work. He doesn't want to be in this disabled position, but he feels today's wages wouldn't make ends meet for his family.
And you've got to pay for housing and rent and electric and everything else on top of food and all that other stuff. You cannot raise families doing that as a single family, as a single provider or anything. It's just not possible.
Karen Atkins with Kentucky River Foothills, an anti-poverty focused agency, says the organization agrees with the Trump administration, saying Section 8 housing and public housing assistance should be considered short-term.
And ideally it's supposed to, solve a crisis at the time, and then hopefully what we can do is work with individuals on how to get out of Section 8 housing.
For now, Wright, a single dad with no car, is trying to raise his 4 boys without concern of losing his housing. He voted for change in D.C., but not this change.
I'd rather have the change in my pocket than the change they're giving us in Washington.
In Richmond, with photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw, Carly Hoxton.
And they thought the other ones are going to be the one affected by the cuts on the budget. They thought when Orange Buffon, in his campaign, he was going around the country and telling them, I'm going to cut all the programs. I'm going to cut the programs for the welfare queen. They thought the others were the welfare queen and king. And they didn't even think about it, that they themselves benefits for the government programs, that they are there, the government programs are there for the people benefits. That's what we pay taxes for. That's what we pay taxes for. It's no shame in anybody that decide to use a government program, because that's why we all put money into the system. For the people like this first man, that he's in disability, he can utilize and he can use all those resources. Just in case, so any of us need it for any circumstances, we have those programs in place if we need it. So they thought only the others are the ones using these programs, when they themselves were using all the government programs. The Section 8, they were using the SNAP benefit, they were using the disability programs, they were using the Social Security programs, they were using all of them. But the others couldn't use it, only them. I want you to stay towards the end because this video is gonna be really interesting. I have a lot of cases of FAFO MAGA, okay? Yes, they are regretting their vote and they are crying and going crazy. And it's nothing, I just telling you, I had nothing against them. But I have to tell you that I had no remorse for people that wanted the others to be out of these programs when they couldn't even think about it, that they themselves were utilizing these programs. So stay towards the end. Please don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Help us to support liberal media. The MAGA nuts, they have all the likes, all the subscribes, all the comments.
2 years, I'm going to lose my housing. All because the guidelines for Section 8 have changed since you-know-who got into office. They're saying that if you have a child that is school-aged, meaning if you don't have to stay home with your child, you have to be able to obtain employment, have a full-time job, and you cannot be on Section 8 past 2 years unless you have a disability. Can you believe that? Happening October 2025, HUD confirmed that in October, HUD is rolling out a new income verification rule that these changes are going to impact so many residents. These changes apply to all Section 8 and public housing tenants, not those that just been on these programs for 2 years. Here are what they're looking to do. Mandatory annual income re-verification, even for fixed or income households, real-time data checks using IRS and Social Security card records, and stricter rules for verifying gigs, self-employment, and cash income. Penalties for failing to report income changes within 10 days are going to be drastic. These changes, again, are from a broader perspective to reduce fraud and improve accuracy in rent and calculation. So what Section 8 tenants should know, okay? I'm reading this off of my notes. Income will be checked more closely. HUD will now use IRS and Social Security data to verify your income. If you have side jobs, gigs, or get paid in cash, they're going to look for it. You must report these income changes fast. If your income goes up or down, you must report it within 10 days. Not reporting it could lead to rent increases, repayments, repayment demands, even termination from the program. They are not playing. Annual reviews are going to be mandatory. Even if you're on a fixed income like SSI or SSD, you're still going to go through an annual income. Again, keep your paperwork organized. Report income changes very quickly. Okay, don't lose your Section 8 over something so silly. Don't hide any source of income. But if you've been relying on unreported income or haven't updated your housing authority about these changes, these are going to cause problems for you because they're going to find out. So what you can do right now, gather all income and documents, pay stub, benefit letters, etc. Make sure your housing authority has your contact info. Ask questions early. Don't wait until you get a letter. So if you have anything in the mail, this is what they're going to say. This is the letter that's coming in October, just letting you know what is to come. So if you're that person that is getting Zelle, you're cash apping, they're going to find out. They're really cracking down. If they get an inkling that you're receiving a source of income that is not down in your file, you will be at risk of losing your Section 8.
Betty, you voted for President Trump. Do you regret that decision based on what we're seeing?
In terms of food insecurity, I do. I believe he's doing a great job with the border. Right now, the border's not affecting me. Right now, it's affecting my daughter, the fact that she needs a SNAP, and she won't be getting anything for November. And like I said, she's a type 1 diabetic, and we want to represent all the other diabetics out there or people with chronic health conditions that do need this food. And they may not have a safety net. They may not have relatives to fall back on. We know many people, and knows people that don't have relatives to fall back on.
Let me ask you, Betty, because we're going to be speaking with the Republican congressman right after you and I had this conversation, one that's very close to President Trump. What is your message to lawmakers right now, Betty?
I would say restore funding for SNAP. And I believe the Trump administration, instead of focusing on presidential ballrooms, should be paying attention to individual Americans' dining rooms.
Betty, will this experience impact your voting decisions in the future?
Well, it depends on what the administration does in the future. It may. Like I said, there's certain things that I'm thankful that Trump has done. But in terms of just basic food insecurity, I believe he has to make some changes in order to do what he said. I think he promised to lower prices for Americans, and I don't see that happening right now.
Well, I want to thank you both for sharing what's happening. It's so important to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There is another case. Oh my goodness, this is another case. Can you guys believe this? Okay, the mom, her daughter is in food stamp. If she's in food stamp, she's also using Medicaid or Medicare. So sometimes I forget Medicaid. She knows that, and she goes and votes for the candidate that they say, I'm gonna cut Medicaid, I'm gonna cut food stamp. That's the platform the Republicans been running for 40 years. They just been saying it and repeating. Vermont couldn't see that her vote would put her daughter in danger. How she couldn't see it? I guess resistance is expensive. And comment below, what do you think these MAGAs were thinking when they voted in the way they voted?
SNAP benefits, as everybody knows, have basically run dry this week with the ongoing government shutdown and the Trump administration's refusal to tap into the USDA's contingency fund, even though they've been ordered by 2 courts to do so, to fund the benefits. Trump says he's not going to do it. Caroline Leavitt says, no, he's totally doing it. So who knows what's happening? Well, the answer is, of course, the people receiving SNAP. They know that Trump could have done this before the benefits even came close to running out on November 1st. He intentionally did not. And yes, they are taking that out on him, including his former MAGA supporters. This week, a 63-year-old retiree who recently retired to take care of her 26-year-old daughter, who not only has type 1 diabetes, but was also diagnosed with mental health issues that prevent her from being able to work. So she is on disability. The family is on SNAP benefits, which they have to buy her the proper food to be able to keep her blood sugar levels correct because of her diabetes. And she lost her benefits this week. And she was an ardent Donald Trump supporter up until that moment. She appeared on both NBC and CNN this week. And this is what this former Trump supporter said after losing her SNAP benefits. It all seems very selfish. Now he's busy out of the country and demolishing the White House. I believe the Trump administration, instead of focusing on presidential ballrooms, should be paying attention to individual Americans' dining rooms. She says that she desperately regrets her vote for Donald Trump. So this is not to mock this individual in any sense of the word. In fact, I'm doing this to praise her, because this sometimes is what it takes. I do not wish this hardship on her at all. She has my utmost sympathy, empathy, all of it. She should not be going through this. Her family should not be going through this. But they are, because of the person she voted for. And she knows that. And she regrets it. And she will not make that mistake again. See, that's the difference. I know I talk about these stories all the time. Like, these MAGA voters are mad at Trump, but they still support.
All of the people who rely on Section 8 housing to cover parts of their rent, I have great news for you in the midst of this government shutdown. I just got done speaking with the Central Texas Council of Governments, better known as CITCOG. Executive Director Jim Reed told me that they learned a few days ago that the HUD is covering everyone's rent up until January 1st, 2026. So CITCOG will soon be getting all of the funds they need to cover rent for the remainder of the year. This is, of course, great news for people who live under Section 8 housing, but it's also good news for landlords. This is because, of course, landlords have these properties and they likely have a mortgage on them and they're not going to be able to pay them if they're not getting that money from the government. But landlords, you're going to be okay. If you didn't know already, there's some good news regarding SNAP benefits. The government just approved giving partial payments to people who rely on SNAP benefits. COG allocates Section 8 housing to more than 2,400 families in Central Texas. They do service in 7 counties, including Bell, Lampasas, and Hill County. In the midst of a government shutdown that's been going on for more than 30 days, I'm just really glad to share some good news and positive news as we work towards getting all of this resolved. And of course, y'all, help where you can because a lot of families need it.
Morning. Nobody really knows what's going to happen to the Section 8 funding in 2026, but I can give you an idea of what I imagine is going to happen. Appropriations will most likely stay level, meaning there's no new funding going into the program. Unfortunately, what that means for housing authorities is they're not going to have enough money to just generally cover what they're already anticipated to spend next year for housing costs. Coupled with increased utility expenses, what I imagine will likely happen is residents who are participating in the program will have higher cost, and landlords will see lower rents as housing authorities are trying to find ways to save money by trying to drive those rents down. I imagine you'll see a lot of payment standards decreasing at housing authorities all over the country, partially because half of the country's housing authorities are already in what is known as shortfall. And so what landlords will likely see is that, a unit that got $1,000 6 months ago might only get $950 or less. So if you're a landlord or a participant in the program, just know if you're a tenant, your costs are likely going to go up. Landlords, your HAP and contract rents are probably going to go down. The other thing that happens when these situations occur is when residents try and move, landlords want higher rents, and it's going to drive residents into higher areas of poverty concentrations, which are going to give them, less opportunity to afford units in nicer areas. And then additionally, I would imagine that there won't be a lot of new vouchers issued next year, which means anybody who's looking to get into housing, you're going to need to look for other sources. I've posted on here before the HUD resource locator, and it lists available project-based rental assistance properties as well as low-income housing tax credit properties that you should start looking into, because it's highly unlikely that a lot of vouchers will be issued next year. You probably won't see many wait lists opening. So you're going to need to look for other forms of affordable housing to be able to find affordable housing. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'll keep you posted as I hear things, but that's what I imagine is going to happen.
EBT, food stamps. The sad part is what these people are saying, how they feel it's entitled. Unbelievable the way this world is. I actually feel bad for our future. We're in a sad state right now because you know what? Food stamps and all that was created, I believe, in the early 60s for a crutch. Do you realize that when people first went on it, they weren't even allowed to have a TV. They would do home visits, and I'm going to give my opinion on it because I was on it at one time. I was a teen mom, so I had to get food stamps because I was going to school. I was going to school for nursing. So it was my son and me, and I got food stamps and all that happy noise. And then I went into government housing. Here's where I think the system is messed up is, what do they call it? Section 8. Do you realize how much people get a month for housing? That's where the money's going. Make that make sense to me. Make that be fair to me, because I can't. When I did government housing, I was a teenager with my son. We moved into government housing and they went by your income. So I paid $25 a month. Now, mind you, this was the 80s, okay? $25 a month. And they didn't have cap back then. But the electric and gas wasn't much. And I got food stamps for us. And back then you got cash because I was in school. That's how I was able to get it, I think now I'm not even gonna touch that. We're gonna just talk about food stamps and Section 8. So here's my thing. Section 8, people will get Section 8, which is allowance for their housing every month, which could be a lot of money. Now, if they want a bigger house or a better house more than what they get, then they got to make up the difference. But we're talking like Some people get like over $1,000 a month for housing, you know, where to me, if you need that, if you need to rely on the government, then you go into government housing. You go to government housing, which is considered the projects, and they go by your income. So you could pay whatever, 100, 200, 500, whatever it is, it goes on your income, because that's what you can afford. You're basically needing everybody else to pay for your housing every month. That's not fair. Go get a job. There is everywhere I go, and business owners, they can't get people to work. They can't get help. Dairy Queen, they're shutting their hours down early because they don't have enough of workers. Go get a job. That's what the government needs to do. Don't shut the government down. I think that's crazy. You know what I mean? Go buy. First and foremost, if you just eliminated Section 8, you're going to get a lot of money.
I hope you understand now that the American people aren't the priority. Let that sink in. Your kids going hungry, they don't care. You not be able to fly across the country because there are no air traffic controllers. Nope. We've got to play politics with people's travel and people's stomachs. MAGA. You thought he cared, right? You thought he cared. We tried to tell you he's a trickster.
Trump says he's not going to do it. Caroline Leavitt says, no, he's totally doing it. So who knows what's happening? Well, the answer is, of course, the people receiving SNAP. They know that Trump could have done this before the benefits even came close to running out on November 1st. He intentionally did not. And yes, they are taking that out on him, including his former MAGA supporters. This week, a 63-year-old retiree who recently retired to take care of her 26-year-old daughter, who not only has type 1 diabetes, but was also diagnosed with mental health issues that prevent her from being able to work. So she is on disability. The family is on SNAP benefits, which they have to buy her the proper food to be able to keep her blood sugar levels correct because of her diabetes. And she lost her benefits this week. And she was an ardent Donald Trump supporter up until that moment. She appeared on both NBC and CNN this week.
On today's episode of FAFO. So here's how it started. Christine on X wrote, "We did it, #Trump 2024, @RealDonaldTrump. Welcome home, my president, crying tears of joy. God bless President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance." Then on December 27th, 2024, she wrote, "All of your liberal tears make me happy. Wake up and take the L, and get ready for many more. He won, period. Get over it. I absolutely love how he takes up so much space in your heads, rent-free." And now, here's the after. At POTUS, at Secretary of War, "My husband is in the Texas National Guard and is not being paid while he's working. This is a disgrace to our country. I recently got laid off from my private sector job, and now we have no income. We are desperate. I've never been in this position before. Please help us." Well, Christine, the only thing I have to offer is possibly those tears that you were making fun about people for. Also, if you have no income, there's a phrase that you guys love to use towards others. It's called pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I think also there's a few of you guys out there that also say that there's fast food jobs as well as DoorDash and Uber. And those are possibly a few options for you to do.
Here's the part that's critical to understand. There are 43 million black Americans in this country. If approximately 1 million black households are on Section 8, we're talking about a very small minority of our community. And I need black folks to hear this clearly. We will be all right if that program goes away. I'm not saying it won't hurt. I'm not saying those million households won't struggle. I'm saying that as a community of 43 million people, we are not defined by, dependent on, or destroyed by the existence or elimination of Section 8. This is about shifting the narrative. For too long, the conversation about programs like Section 8 has been framed as if black people would collapse without them, as if we're the primary beneficiaries, as if our entire community survival hinges on government assistance. That's a lie. That's a narrative designed to make us seem weak, dependent, incapable. And I'm here to tell you that narrative is propaganda, and we need to stop accepting it. When Section 8 payments don't go out in November, yes, there will be pain. Landlords will panic. Some will move to evict. Families will scramble. Courts will fill up with eviction cases. This is real. This is serious. But this is not a black community crisis. This is an American crisis that affects multiple communities. And black Americans represent less than half of the people impacted. Let me be clear about why I'm framing it this way, because every time there's a crisis involving social programs, black faces get put on the news, black families get interviewed, black neighborhoods get filmed, and the underlying message, whether intentional or not, is that these programs are black programs and that black people can't survive without them. That messaging is harmful. It's inaccurate, and it needs to stop. The reality is that white households make up 30 35% of Section 8 recipients. That's 840,000 households. That's not insignificant. That's nearly as many as black households. But you won't see that represented in the media coverage. You won't see rural white families being interviewed about potential evictions. You won't see white faces attached to this crisis in the way you'll see black faces. And that's intentional because the narrative serves a purpose. It keeps black Americans positioned as the dependent class while obscuring the fact that government assistance crosses all racial lines. Hispanic and Latino families represent 16% of Section 8 recipients. That's 384,000 households. Where's their representation in this conversation? Where's the acknowledgement that this crisis will devastate Latino communities? It's not there because the narrative doesn't want it there. The narrative wants one face on poverty, one face on government assistance, one face on dependency, and that face is supposed to be black. I reject that narrative completely, and I'm asking black Americans to reject it too. Now let's talk about what this Section 8 situation really represents. It represents a government that's willing to use housing as a weapon. It represents a system that can cut off assistance to 2.4 million households and call it policy. It represents the vulnerability that comes with depending on systems that don't have your best interests at heart. And this is why I'm focused specifically on what this means for black Americans, not in coalition with other groups, but as our own distinct community with our own distinct interests. I know some people reading this are already uncomfortable. Why aren't you talking about coalition building? Why aren't you including other minority groups? Don't we need to work together? And my answer is simple. Minority coalitions don't work for black Americans. They never have. Every time we've entered into minority coalitions, our specific issues get diluted, our specific needs get overlooked, our specific pain gets minimized in favor of a broader agenda that ultimately doesn't serve us. The data shows it. When we fight for minority rights, we end up at the bottom. When we fight for people of color justice, we end up with the least. When we build coalitions based on shared oppression, we discover that our oppression is deeper, older, more entrenched, and the coalition isn't equipped to address it specifically. So no, I'm not interested in coalition building right now. I'm interested in black American survival and prosperity. Here
I just wanted to leave this last clip that we just have, because definitely the press, definitely the government, definitely institutions been programming us to think that the people in food stamp, the people in Chapter 8 housing, the people that use the government programs, they are all dark-skinned people. And it's not like that. It is not like that. Actually, the majority of the ones, the recipients of food stamp or recipients of the government programs, are people with white skin. So that's what I wanted to just leave this last clip that I left, because it is so important that we recognize that somehow the system is always showing to everybody else that the recipients of food stamp are dark-skinned people, and we cannot keep perpetuating that image. Okay, it's important that we don't perpetuate that image. And when you see the people that live in Chapter 8, only 1 million people is black. So it's like less than 30% of the program. So that's when MAGA, when Donald Trump keep telling MAGA, okay, yes, we're gonna eliminate those programs. They receive those programs themselves, but they cannot see themselves that they're gonna be the ones that are gonna get cut up, that their programs, their own programs that they utilize, are gonna be cut up. They think somehow that it's gonna be someone else. This is not gonna happen to me. It's gonna happen to someone else, but not to me. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What is in the mind of the MAGA people? That they know that they use government programs, and they're gonna be impacted by the cut on the budgets, by not having those programs anymore, that they go and vote for the orange buffoon. What do you guys think about that? And definitely it's a call to action for us to help people in need, okay? Yes, it is happening, but you definitely can volunteer in the food banks. You definitely can do whatever you can do to help other people in need. Okay, it is, our help is needed, and we are part of a community. We are part of the city that we live. So it's just important that we just take the time to help other people and look for ways to help our community, our city, our towns. Please make sure that you comment below, what do you guys think about this? This is happening. All the cuts that are happening on the budget. Do you guys think that it's gonna be permanent? That after they get cut, they are not coming back? What do you guys think about finally a news that we have? The Democrats, I don't know if you take it as a good news or as a bad news. You guys are gonna have to comment below. The Democrats, 8 of the Democrats, and one of those is my Senate, Cortez Masto. She decided to vote for the reopening of the government. And yes, I told you before that I'm a recipient of food stamp. And if I have to sacrifice myself and my family to wait for everybody else can have their health care, their Obamacare or their Affordable Care Act in place, I will be more than willing to do that because I know that it's important for people. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that after all that work, the Democrats were the biggest loser? Or do you guys think that they want something with just reopening the government because they say that they're going to extend the credits for Obamacare, for Affordable Care Act? Someone comment to me in the comments, told me, Jenny, you shouldn't be using, and I tried to don't use it. I'm sorry, I tried to don't use the Obamacare, and they told me that it's a racist term. And I'm like, I think that is a derogatory term that they are using for the Affordable Care Act, but I don't think that it's a racist term. Why? Because Obama had been the only black president that we have. And if his legacy is gonna be Obamacare, what a beautiful way to remember. Obama cared because he really cared. He did care that people can have health insurance. He did care that people with the pre-existing conditions can have health care. He did care that it doesn't matter if you were white, black, yellow, purple, alien, extraterrestrial being. You can have a health care, and when you are sick, you will be able to take care of yourself. So yes, I love calling it Obamacare. I love it because he was a president that cared. We did have a president that really cared. So what do you guys think? But I do also call it Affordable Care Act because that's the name that it should be called by. But if it happens that I, like a few moments ago I just say Obamacare, I like it because he did care. Please don't forget giving a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow and it helps other people to find my content and my video. Help us to support liberal media, subscribing to my channel. And if you want to just give me some money for coffee, I always need some coffee. You can guys imagine how long it takes me to edit these videos. Okay, I had to find the clips, then I had to put them together, then I had to make sure there is no copyrights and all these things. It's work. Okay. You guys can leave me money for coffee. I leave you my Cash App towards the end, my Venmo. Oh, you always are welcome, guys. Thank you so much for the super thanks. I like a kid in the candy store every time that I get money through Cash, Venmo, or super thanks in YouTube. Thank you so much. You guys are the best subscribers in the planet. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.